Right. I'm a map. What can run but never walks? Has a mouth but never talks? Certainly not me. Has a head but never weeps? Has a bed but never sleeps? It's a river. Did you guess it right? What runs all around your backyard, yet never moves? Psst, it's a fence. I'm a box that holds keys without locks, yet my keys can unlock your imagination. What am I? A book. Now I've got a bit tougher brain teaser for you. What TV series is represented by this rebus? Here's a hint. The first, third, and fifth names are there only to fill space. And the answer is Even Stevens. All of the even numbers correspond to some kind of a variation of the name Stephen. Now, which letter comes next in this sequence? You can pick from the following letters: L, V, Y, T, or D. We need the letter Y. The sequence stands for second, minute, hour, day, week, month, and year. A cowboy rode into town on Friday. He stayed for 3 nights and rode out on Friday. How is it possible? His horse's name was Friday. 6 children have been measured. Turns out Weldon is taller than Delia, but shorter than Zena. Leisha is taller than Benito, but shorter than Delia and Weldon. Benito is not the shortest. Can you put the kids in order of height from the tallest to the shortest one? The right order is Zena, Weldon, Delia, Leisha, Benito, and Charlotte. Look at these athletes. Who will win the race? The left shoe of the guy on the right is untied, so he isn't likely to be the first one to get to the finish line. The guy on the left seems to be really exhausted, so he can't be the first one either. Meanwhile, the guy in the middle looks really confident, so he has the highest chance of winning this race. Now get ready for a nice logic puzzle. You've been invited to a party at Charlie's house, but you've never been there before. The guy has 7 friends who live nearby. They've given you a map showing all their houses as well as Charlie's house and provided you with the following information. Daniel: I can't see Benita's house because Greta's house is in the way. Adam: I live directly, but not diagonally, across the street from Daniel. Benita: Elena's house is to the west of my house. Elena: I have to cross 3 streets to arrive at Franco's house. Hal: I live east of Benita. Can you figure out which house is Charlie's? It's House E, and that's where the rest of the friends live. On April Fool's Day, salt shakers wished sugar and left messages on each of them. Shaker A: This is salt. Shaker B: this is salt. Shaker C, this is sugar. Shaker D, the salt is not in shaker B. If only one of these inscriptions is true, which shaker contains salt? The only truthful statement is statement D. The salt is not in shaker B. Otherwise, two statements will be true and it's against the rules. And if statement D is true, then the salt is in shaker C. If Teresa's daughter is my daughter's mother, what am I to Teresa? You can choose from the following options. The correct answer is, I'm Teresa's daughter. You see, in this riddle, you, the reader, are Teresa's daughter. That's what you are to her. How come? Well, if Teresa has a daughter who is also the mother of your daughter, you are Teresa's daughter. Now let's break it down in a different way. Teresa is your daughter's grandmother, which makes Teresa your mother and makes you the daughter of Teresa. The tricky part is the multiple choice answers. You might have tried to figure it out as if you're an additional person to the riddle, when in fact, you're inserted into the riddle from the get-go. If Teresa's daughter, which is you, is my daughter's mother, what am I to Teresa? The answer is already there. A cat is out on a hunt, and a mouse is hiding from the predator. Can you spot the mouse before the cat does? Here it is. Find the number that best completes the following sequence. This number is 16, because each next number adds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, respectively, to the preceding number. Let's have a small break and crack some short riddles, but you need to be fast.
Yeah.
I make two people out of one. What am I? A mirror. What comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years? It's the letter M. What's more useful when it's broken? The answer is an egg. What did a computer eat on the moon? Space bars. Oh. Now look at this picture and try to figure out which figure doesn't belong here. It's the triangle. It has only 3 line segments, while the other figures have 4. Another image to examine. Can you deduce which woman is rich? Sarah's watch is fake. Look at the way the name of the brand is written, Versace. Pam's gold bracelet looks very old and has scratches all over it. At the same time, Jessica's wearing a real Tiffany bracelet. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson wanted to celebrate their wedding anniversary. They were going to organize an extravagant party and invite hundreds of guests. But Mrs. Anderson was worried about all the expensive stuff they had in their villa. The couple decided to invite a detective to look after the guests. And indeed, in the middle of the party, the detective noticed a thief. Look at the people gathered in the garden and try to spot the criminal. It's the guy on the left. He's trying to steal a woman's bracelet. One morning, Donna came to the office and found a box of chocolates on her desk. There was a strange note. October 7th, May 3rd, August 1st, January 3rd. Can you help Donna understand who presented her the sweets? Her secret admirer is Ryan. Those are not dates. The numbers actually means the needed letter in the name of the month. Detective Mitchell was following a bank robber, but after the criminal turned the corner, he seemed to vanish into thin air. After wandering around for a while, the detective came across a small park with a lake. Right on the shore, there were several marble statues. The man was about to pass by when something drew his attention. He realized where the criminal was. Can you figure it out? One of the statues is looking at its watch. It's the bank robber. Watch. But first, he needs to figure out which of these two watches is real and which is just a toy. The watch on the left is a toy. Look at its minute hand. It's too long and won't be able to pass all the way around the watch face. Lisa worked as a teaching assistant at a college. One day, she had to look after a group of students who were writing an exam. Lisa knew that some of them were going to cheat, and indeed, soon after the exam started, the girl spotted one person who was cheating. Who was it? The guy in the back of the classroom. He's got the answers written on his arm. Bob went scuba diving for his birthday. He got to see the rich marine life of Florida's ocean, but when he was down there, he hit his head on a coral reef. Now, it turned out that Bob was fine, except for the fact that he had lost a bit of his short-term memory. When he arrived home, there were 3 beautiful women waiting for him. Hey, it was his birthday. They all claimed that they were his wife. Well, take a look at the image. Can you help Bob figure out who is really his wife? It's the second woman on the right. If you look closely, you'll see she's wearing the same gold ring that Bob's wearing. Henry is the CEO of his own company. Have a look at the picture. One of these ladies is Henry's sister. Can you figure out who? Although he's looking at the woman on the right, his sister is on the left. They both have the same birthmark on their necks. Good eye, if you caught that. There was a recent break-in at Mr. Frank's grocery store. Luckily, the security cameras captured everything. Mr. Frank called in Detective Harper to crack the case. Harper noticed one small but very important detail that solved the mystery. Take a peek at the images Detective Harper reviewed. Can you figure out who the thief is? Let's see. That guy is just carrying around a baguette. The one near the fridge has normal groceries in her cart. And the last guy is holding a lettuce in his hands. But hey, take a look at the lettuce. It has such a weird shape. In fact, it has a banana inside of it. That guy was trying to sneak out with a banana and a lettuce. He's the thief, definitely. And a weird one. It's finals week at Crestwood Academy, and the tension is sky high. Check out the classroom and see if you can figure out who's cheating. It's the student with the smartwatch. He's looking at his watch to get the answers to the exam. So, John is hosting his monthly thematic dinner. Each month, he picks a different theme, and they spend the entire evening eating and laughing. He spent days searching the internet for one of the most difficult riddles he could find to give his friends a real challenge to solve. That's when he found the 4 glasses puzzle. His guests arrived, and he explained the rules of the game to them. They would each start the game with 4 empty glasses that were right side up. In each move, they would need to invert exactly 3 different glasses. To win the game, the person should be able to find the minimum number of moves to get all of the 4 glasses facing down. Hey, do you think you can beat John's guess in solving this riddle? In the first move, you should pick any 3 glasses you'd like and turn them upside down. Then, the second move is where you should use a little bit more of your wits and skills. You shouldn't pick the exact same 3 glasses you picked in the first round, otherwise that would take you back to the beginning. Instead, you could choose to invert the glasses 1, 2, and 4, for example. So after move 2, you end up with the following order: up, up, down, down. Then your best move may sound counterintuitive, but you should pick 2 glasses that are down and 1 glass that is up. In the fourth move, you should pick the 3 glasses that are up and invert them. This way, you'll have all 4 glasses facing down. Congrats! You've just shown John and his party guests that the minimum number of moves to win this game is 4. Sandy was exploring the wood near her house when she discovered a magical portal. On the other side of it, she was shocked to find 3 of her close friends, Alex, Betty, and June. They had been captured by a trickster creature that had cast a spell on them. After that, one of them could only tell lies, the other could only tell the truth, and the third one was sort of a spy. Sometimes she lied, other times she told the truth. Sandy decided to talk to each one of them. Alex said she was not the truth teller. Betty said she was not the spy. And June said she was not a liar. Can you help Sandy figure out what June was cursed with? Well, let's see how we can solve the problem. In total, there are 6 possibilities to consider, and we should start with the most obvious. If Alex was a truth teller, then she could not say that she is not a truth teller. She can't be the liar either, because then her statement would actually be true. So it's settled. Alex is the spy. If Betty was a liar, then she would be always lying. Saying that she is not a spy would actually be true. So this is a no-go. Since she can't be a spy, this means she's the truth teller. Bingo! This means that June is the liar. It was Blake's lucky day. He won $1,000 on a lottery ticket. Of all the things he could spend this on, he knew immediately that he wanted to spend this money buying his favorite chocolate in the world. The chocolate bar he loves cost $1, and since his luck just keeps growing, the local store is having a promotion. For every 4 chocolate wrappers he takes back to the store will give him 1 chocolate bar for free. Ooh, talk about abundance. How about you show off your genius and figure out the maximum number of chocolate bars Blake can get? Well, let's see the best he could do. If Blake spends all of his money and buys 1,000 chocolate bars, he'll have 1,000 wrappers, correct? Then, if he exchanges every 4 wrappers for 1 additional chocolate bar, he can get 250 more chocolate bars from his 1,000 wrappers. Now, if Blake exchanged those 250 wrappers, he'd get another 62 chocolate bars. He'd use 248 wrappers, leaving him with the remaining 2 wrappers. Then his best deal would be to take those 62 wrappers, add the remaining 2 he kept from the last exchange, and he would have 64 wrappers in total. He can exchange these wrappers for another 16 chocolate bars. Then he'd take these 16 wrappers and trade them for 4 more chocolate bars. Exchanging those last 4 wrappers, he'd get his final chocolate bar. So, if Blake follows this process, he'll get a maximum of 1,333 chocolate bars in total. Now, we're not saying this is a smart idea, but… Your mother asks you to measure 4 cups of orange juice using 2 jugs. The thing is, you have a 20-cup jug and a 36-cup jug. How can you do it? You need to start by pouring the orange juice into the smaller jug. Then pour all the juice from that jug into the 36-cup jug. This way, the empty space from the big jug would give you 16 cups. After doing that, you can fill the 20-cup jug using more fresh juice and pour that liquid into the 36-cup jug. That way, you'll fill the entire 36-cup jug, and what's left in the smaller jug is the 4 cups of juice your mom asked for. Then you can start an orange juice stand. Sophie's aunt, Clara, bought a bottle of perfume for her niece's birthday. Unfortunately, Sophie couldn't keep it because her sister Mia is terribly allergic to perfumes. Sophie brought it back to her aunt, who had purchased it for $65. And Clara then sold the perfume to someone else for $80. But then she remembered she had another niece, Lily, so she bought it back from the lady for $70. However, Lily turned out to be allergic too, so Aunt Clara had to sell the perfume again, this time for $60. Did she make any profit in this whole situation? Yes, Aunt Clara made a $5 profit and celebrated it by grabbing a large latte. James, a mad scientist, was on a quest to solve a crazy problem from a friend. This challenge had him stopping everything just to figure it out. James had 2 stacks of cups to analyze. One stack had 5 cups piled on top of each other, reaching a total height of 13.5 inches. Right next to this stack, there was another stack with just 2 cups, totaling 7.5 inches in height. James needed to figure out how tall a single cup was. At first glance, it might seem like you could just divide the total height by the number of cups, but that wouldn't work here. Instead, James thought about the problem differently. He considered the height of a single cup as XX and noticed that each cup didn't sit perfectly on top of each other. There was a bit of overlap. For the 2-cup stack, the combined height is 7.5 inches. This includes the full height of the first cup, plus the part of the second cup that sticks out just above the first cup. The 5-cup stack, which is 13.5 inches tall, includes the height of the 2-cup stack, plus the additional height contributed by the overlapping parts of the 3 more cups on top. By examining the difference, James realized that the height of the overlapping parts of the cups amounted to 2 inches. With this information, he figured out that the remaining height for a single cup was 5.5 inches. Eureka! His persistence paid off, and James cracked the riddle. You might say, his cup runneth over, but that's too obvious a pun. Yeah, but I'll say it anyways. Hey, are you ready to test your brain power and see how much of it you actually use? Then, let's start. There once was an evil king who loved himself so much he'd always carry a pocket mirror to admire his own reflection. He wanted to have the largest and the most expensive castle in the whole world. He made workers build it day and night without a break, so they decided to take revenge on him. Once the castle was ready, the king went in and found himself in a maze. There were 3 doors, and he had to pick one to get out. Behind the first door, there was a hungry monster that could take the life of anyone who looked at it. Behind the second door, there was a shaky bridge over a chasm that was easy to fall into. And the third door opened to a massive fire blocking the way. So, what should the king choose? The king should choose the first door. He can use that mirror he has to reflect the monster's gaze. Voila! The monster is gone, and the king can pass easily.
Yeah.
Sandra has just moved into a new apartment, but she's in trouble already. She saw two people break into the apartment next door. She knew for sure she had just one neighbor, and he was a circus performer.
Oh.
Sandra called the police, but since none of the men had a key or an ID on them, the police couldn't help much. They decided to figure out which of the men was lying. Can you help them? Although there's plenty of sports gear in the room, the real clue is the flower on the clown's hat. The exact same flowers are growing in the apartment, so he's the real owner. The police found a secret lab with a mad scientist living in it. He was working on a superpower potion that would help him take over the city. Somehow, he managed to escape from the lab, and now the police have to find him to prevent disaster. Do you have any ideas on how to do it? There are some flasks in the trash can. They must be the clue. And he must have left this weird gadget behind. Let's keep on searching. Here are some suspicious footprints. The mad scientist must have left them behind. Do you see him? There he is, hiding behind the car. Neil invited his best friends to his birthday party and ordered a cab for them so they wouldn't have to drive. Everyone had fun, but then it was time to open the gifts, and one of the boxes turned out to be empty. Someone must have stolen it.
Oh no.
Sue said, "I make more money than all of you together. Why would I steal that gift?" Nikki said, "I've just arrived, and you're blaming me for stealing something? Sorry for being late." Mimi explained, "I haven't even seen that blue box with a golden ribbon before. Who's lying here?" Nikki. Everyone arrived in one taxi, so how could he have been late? Liza is a secret agent, and today her mission is to discover some super important papers from a little house in a faraway village. She arrived there, made sure no one was watching, and was about to enter. But there was a combination lock on the door. Luckily, there was a note nearby. Can you help Liza figure out the code using the note? You have to count how many logs there are in each section of the house. The note has the order in which the numbers must be placed. So the code is 7834. Nick has just arrived home after a weekend at the polo club with his friends. Yikes! He just saw a burglar running out of his house. Nick tried to follow the stranger, but he was way faster, so Nick couldn't catch him. But he noticed the burglar was running towards the construction site nearby. He must be pretending to be a construction worker. Which of these guys is an imposter? Look, this guy is trying to saw through a beam. The guy on top will fall if he succeeds here. He must be the burglar. This family only seems normal. The dad is a real superhero. He can travel in time, he can fly, has super hearing, and always knows when someone is lying. It's cool, but not for his son. He has really bad grades at school and was grounded for the holidays. The boy really wants to go to his best friend's birthday party. How can he escape? He can tell his dad he has to be at school today. He can lock himself in and escape through the window. He can run away quietly while his dad is watching TV. His dad will know when the boy is lying, and his super hearing will help him notice if his son is trying to run away. So, the only way out is through the window. Someone stole a famous masterpiece from an art gallery. 3 people were inside at the time of the crime: the head of the gallery, a maintenance person, and a visitor. The head of the gallery told the police, "I was in my office signing papers." The maintenance person said, "I was cleaning on the second floor and haven't noticed anything suspicious." The visitor said, "I was in the modern art hall and was looking at exhibits." The police immediately guessed who was lying. Can you do the same? It was the maintenance person. The gallery doesn't have a second floor. In a big company, an important contract went missing. 3 employees became the prime suspects: the manager, the secretary, and the analyst. Here's what they had to say. The manager said, "I was busy at meetings with clients all day." The secretary insisted, "I was filing mail in the archive." The analyst claimed, "I was analyzing reports from the last quarter." The police quickly figured out who was lying. So, who stole the document and how did they know? It was the secretary. The company only updates the archive on Fridays, but this happened on a Wednesday. Busted! Someone tried to hack the security system of a top-secret research base. The base is really well-equipped, with self-updating software and all the latest tech. 3 team members fell under suspicion: the engineer, the guard, and the programmer. The engineer said, "I was checking the base's power supply, and everything was fine." The guard told the police, "I was patrolling the area, and everything was quiet." The programmer explained, "I was updating the system software." The police immediately knew who tried to hack the system. Can you guess who it was and how they figured it out? It was the programmer. The system updates automatically and doesn't need any help with it. An experimental chemistry kit went missing at school, and there were 3 main suspects: the chemistry teacher, a student, and the school principal. Here's what they said. The teacher: "I was prepping for class." The student: "I was reading a book in the library." Principal: "I was reviewing documents about new supplies." The police immediately knew who was lying. So, who swiped the kit, and how did they figure it out? It was the student. The library was closed for inventory on the day of the incident, so there's no way they could have been there. You've got 3 boxes, 1 with just apples, 1 with just oranges, and 1 with a mix of both. The problem is that all the labels are wrong. How can you fix the labels by pulling out just one fruit? Think it over. So here's the trick. Grab a fruit from the box labeled mixed. Since all the labels are wrong, this box actually has either just apples or just oranges. Let's say you pull out an apple. It would mean that this box is actually the just apples box. Now you've got 2 boxes left. The one labeled oranges can't just be oranges because it's mislabeled. And it can't be just apples because you've already found the apple box. So it must be the mixed box. It means the last box, which was labeled apples, must be the just oranges box. And there you go. You've sorted out all the boxes.
Hey! Are you ready for a quick IQ check? Then welcome on board. Lucas wants to go to the circus, but he can't because his grades are bad. He's challenged by 2 clowns to solve a riddle for free entry. This riddle goes like this. What is as big as an elephant but weighs nothing? The correct answer is the elephant's shadow. A shadow can be as large as the object casting it, yet it has no weight. A wealthy singer, Robert Mars, was attacked in a luxury hotel room. The detective invited to investigate this case questions several suspects. The hotel chef claims that he was cooking a special dish for Robert when the accident happened. The bellhop says he was busy with luggage because many new guests arrived at once. And the maid states that she cleaned Robert's room in the morning, and at that time, everything was fine. Have you guessed who's behind the attack? The bellhop is hiding something. Have you noticed that he had Robert's suitcases? There was a tag on one of the bags. Doesn't it seem weird to you? It's definitely suspicious. Judges noticed that robots were competing instead of humans in a sports competition. Help them identify the robots among the athletes. Have a look. This athlete has visible gears in her head. She's adjusting her leg with a screwdriver. This one is wearing a mask. She must be hiding robotic features. A mad scientist caught Diana and locked her in a small room. There were no windows and the door was locked. But there was a note on the table. It was from the scientist. JFMAM. JASOND. Guess the missing letter and I'll set you free. 5 minutes later, Diana was already running away from the strange place. She managed to figure out that the missing letter was J. How did she do it? Those were the first letters of the month from January to December, and the 6th letter, J, stood for June. Criminals who have just escaped from jail have stolen important blueprints from Mark's lab. Now, they need to escape through one of 3 places: a police station, a room where a birthday party is taking place, or a bank during peak hours. Which option is the best? The birthday party. The thieves in their orange jumpsuits would blend in best since their bright costumes are quite common at such gatherings. They'll likely seem less suspicious there. Look at these people attentively. Can you figure out who's not from Earth? It must be the guy on the right. The guy on the left must be wearing a Halloween costume. But look at his blue eyes. They seem to be absolutely human. Now look at the eyes of the guy on the right. Those narrow black slits. Ugh, creepy. How about this image? Can you spot anyone who doesn't look like us Earthlings? It's that lady on the left. Have you noticed a couple of extra eyes hiding in her hair? These Formula One drivers are about to take part in a race. Which of them is from another planet? That guy over there. He's leaving a trail of slime behind. A man sitting in a car sees 3 doors. A bronze door, a silver door, and a golden door. Which door should he open first? Surely, he needs to open his car door first. Look at this man and 3 women attentively. Can you figure out which of them is his real wife? It must be the girl on the left. Look, unlike the other 2 girls, she has nothing in her hands. At the same time, the man is holding a purse, which, to be honest, isn't his style at all. Why did they kick Cinderella out of the football team? To crack this riddle, you need to think outside the box. Because she ran away from the ball. Haha, gotcha. Matthew reported seeing a vampire on his street. The detective came to investigate 3 new neighbors. Kevin had just moved there after divorcing his wife. Sam bought a house in the neighborhood after earning a lot of money. And Farley moved there to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. Have you guessed which of them is the vampire? It's Kevin. You see, Sam is talking to the detective outside in the sun, and Farley has a mirror in his house. Vampires can do neither of these things. It makes Kevin suspect number 1. Raphael, an agent, must disable the alarm on an alien ship by pressing 4 correct buttons simultaneously. Can you help him figure out which buttons to press? The buttons with slightly worn symbols are the ones used most frequently. I'm nothing more than holes tied to other holes. At the same time, I'm as strong as steel, but not as stiff as a pole. What am I? I'm a chain. I have an eye, but I can't see. I have no limbs, but I'm still faster and stronger than any man alive. Who am I? I'm a hurricane. At around 8 p.m., Melissa was walking in the park. Suddenly, she saw a guy lying on the ground. His bike was nearby, in the bushes. Melissa helped him sit up, and he told her that he'd been cycling through the park when someone had thrown something at him. He fell down and blacked out. Melissa had 4 suspects. Hannah said she'd been on a morning run and hadn't seen anything. Ryan said he'd taken his dog for a walk and they'd been in another part of the park. And Michael and Laura said they'd come to have a picnic and had been busy with the food. Do you know who's lying? Hannah. It's evening. How could she have her morning run? One guy was going to an amusement park. At one point, he arrived at a crossroads. There was a sign. Blueville, right. Amusement park, left. The guy stood there for a while, and then, terribly upset, he went home. Why? He thought the amusement park had really left. Once a powerful magician arrived at a small town. His visit caused strange occurrences. Can you find all the oddities in these scenes? Okay, let's start with those crosswalk lines. They're painted incorrectly. Then, a disembodied hand over there is writing by itself. Ugh, creepy. Oh look, a zombie is crawling out of the maintenance hole. Chef George lost his favorite knife just before the cafe was to open. George suspected his neighbors. Damien, the owner of a dry cleaner, and Alan, a toy store owner. Can you figure out who the thief is? Damien is the thief. Have you noticed George's knife in one of the washing machines in Damien's dry cleaner? It might be an attempt to sabotage the cafe opening. Billy brings some of his mom's jewelry to school. Sam, a feared bully, steals this jewelry and hides it like a pirate treasure. Luckily, Billy finds a map in Sam's bag. The instruction says, make 15 steps south and 5 steps east to find the treasure. But even though Billy follows the instructions to a T, he can't find the jewelry. Why? It's simple. Billy misjudged his step size. His steps are smaller than Sam's due to their height difference, so Billy dug in the wrong spot. But if he adjusts the step size, he will definitely find the treasure. Police officer Cheryl Adams was walking along the river, taking some pictures she needed for her case, when a man crashed into her. The man started to apologize. Someone had stolen his wallet and he was trying to catch the thief. He explained that he was painting his boat and his wallet was next to him. Then he got distracted, and when he turned back, the wallet wasn't there anymore. Cheryl understood that the thief couldn't have gone far. They ran to the nearby pier. There were 4 people there. After looking at them attentively, the police officer knew who the thief was. Now, it's your turn to figure it out. It's the man who's talking on the phone. There's some green paint on his left pant leg. Hey Brightside detectives, we really need your help here. These riddles are to be solved as fast as possible. Look at these 2 people. Both of them seem to be in grave danger, but only one of them is actually risking his life. Which person is it? The gentleman with the cane is out of danger. He'll figure out that the edge of the cliff is ahead with the help of his cane. As for the man engrossed in his smartphone, he might not notice the edge of the cliff and fall down. While swimming near the shore, Mark has come across 3 young ladies. What the guy doesn't know is that only one of these women is not a mermaid. How can he understand who is who? Well, the answer is quite obvious. The guy should dive and check which one of the girls has legs and which 2 are sporting tails. Look at these 2 doctors attentively. Only one of them is a real vet. Which doc is it? The real vet is wearing gloves. Each of these 3 prisoners is hoping to escape one day, but one of them might do it in the near future. Which one is it? The guy who's peacefully reading a book must be planning an escape. Do you see that poster on the wall? It's likely covering a hole. Look at the ground right beneath it. There's some sand from drilling. Maria got lost in an enchanted castle. While looking for a way out, she entered a room filled with similarly dressed gentlemen. They were all cheering for the king. Oh, maybe he could help Maria get out of the castle. But how can the girl figure out which of these men is the king? The king is the man on the right, sitting next to Maria. He's the only one who's looking out the window while everyone else is looking at him. In search of a treasure, you come to this crossroads. Which direction should you pick to find the treasure? The answer is actually carved on the stone. Turn the inscription upside down, and it'll say South. David woke up in a hospital with no memories whatsoever. Soon, 3 girls rushed into his room. Each of them claimed to be his only sister. Can you help David figure out which of these ladies is telling the truth? David's real sister is the girl in the middle. Look, they both have identical birthmarks on their hands. Michael was diving when he realized he was about to run out of oxygen. He saw 2 caves nearby. Which cave should he choose to have a chance to survive? He should opt for the left cave. Have you noticed those bubbles of air coming out of it? It means there must be some dry land inside the cave. An elderly lady called the police to report that her neighbor, a young woman called Gina, seemed to have disappeared. The woman hadn't seen her for a few days and got worried. When the police arrived at Gina's house, they managed to unlock the door and found Gina inside, tied to a chair with her mouth covered with a scarf. When she could talk again, she told the police that 3 days ago, a robber had broken into her house, tied her, and taken all her money and gadgets. The police officers didn't believe Gina. Why? Look at the date on the calendar, over there on the wall. See? It's the same date as the one on the calendar at the police station. But if Gina was tied all this time, who was changing the dates on her calendar? 3 friends, Kathy, Mark, and Lauren, gathered together to catch up on their latest news at Lauren's place. At one point, they decided to play hide and seek. When it was Lauren's turn to look for her friends, she easily found Mark. But even with his help, she couldn't spot Kathy. Can you help Lauren find her friend? Kathy took her task seriously. Look, she's hiding in a trash can. Megan invited her friends to a restaurant to celebrate her birthday. They had a lot of fun. Megan got the best birthday present ever, a ring with a large diamond. But suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. After several minutes of total confusion, the lights came back on. But Megan's ring was gone. Look at the image attentively and try to figure out who stole it. It's the waiter. Look at the glass he's holding. He must have put the ring inside. Now there's much more water in it. It's the year 2158. Jim is repairing the roof of his garage. At one point, he slips and falls to the ground and breaks his leg. But the next day, Jim is already walking in the park, looking perfectly fine. How is it possible? Jim is a robot. See that red light blinking over his left ear? They must have repaired him really fast. Marta was walking through the park near her home in the evening. It was dark and there was nobody around. Suddenly, her bag was grabbed from behind and the person bolted away. Marta took off after them. She was pretty sure this person was a woman, but she couldn't make out her appearance or clothes. The woman disappeared inside a school building. When Marta ran inside, she saw 3 teachers. The girl looked at them attentively and soon figured out which one had taken her bag. Can you do the same? The woman in the middle wouldn't be able to run with the cast on her leg. The one on the right doesn't have anything in her hands. Where would she hide Marta's bag so quickly? But the woman on the left has a big shopper bag on her shoulder. A real teacher wouldn't need to carry it in the classroom. A wealthy businessman was kidnapped right from his house. The detective who arrived to investigate the case found nothing strange inside, but a mysterious note with a strange set of symbols written on it. There are 3 suspects: Eric, Ellie, and Colin. Can you help the detective identify the criminal? The culprit is Ellie. Her name is the one coded in the note. Susan worked in a clothing store that sold expensive designer items. One day, she discovered that someone had stolen a pair of pants. Look at the people who were inside at that time. Try to figure out who the thief is. It's the guy on the right. If you look attentively at his legs, you'll see the pants peeping out from under his jeans. Newlyweds Maria and Daniel went to a tropical island on their honeymoon. They stayed at a luxurious hotel. But one day, when they returned from dinner, they found out that someone had broken into their safe and stolen Maria's jewelry. There were several suspects: a maid, Maria and Daniel's neighbors, and the hotel manager. But the maid claimed that she hadn't cleaned any rooms on the newlyweds' floor at all that day. The neighbors said that they had been on an excursion all day and had just returned. And the hotel manager stated that he had several important meetings with clients and hadn't left his office. Can you figure out who the thief is really quick? The neighbors stole the jewelry. Have you noticed a bolt cutter in their bag? Why would they need it on an excursion? David worked at a construction site. Once, someone attacked him, and the unconscious man was taken to a hospital. Police officers who arrived to investigate the case had 3 suspects: Alex, Ryan, and John. Alex said that he had been putting tiles on the roof when the accident happened. Ryan confessed that he'd been sleeping under a tree. And John claimed that he'd been laying bricks at that time. Who's lying? Alex was the one to hurt David. The building has no roof yet, so he couldn't be putting tiles up there. Ava got into a serious accident during the weekend. She got a concussion and broke her leg. Still, the very next day, one of her friends saw her riding a bicycle in the park, and she looked fine. How is that possible? Look, the girl who got into the car accident has a tattoo on her ankle. The girl on the bike doesn't. The girl who was riding the bike was Ava's twin sister, Malva. A doctor rushed into the emergency room and saw there were 2 patients waiting for urgent treatment. The man on the left was a tech millionaire, and the lady on the right was a grandmother to 5 children. He needed to think fast who he would save. Who should he choose? He should choose the grandmother. The man on the left has a phone next to him. He could call someone else for help. 3 scientists went to research in the Amazon forest. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the wildlife for his social media page, and Helena got to study a rare species of carnivorous plant. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, one of them got caught trying to take something in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Well, it's illegal to take seeds and plants with you, and Helena had a carnivorous plant in her backpack. Yikes! Mia went to Rome for summer vacation. She was wandering through the streets when she saw an artist's easel was knocked over. He said he had stepped away for 1 second and the tragedy happened. Mia decided to help him solve the case and interviewed a few people. Marco said that he'd been taking photos nearby. Harry said he'd been juggling for a big crowd a few meters away. Josie said that she'd come by just to buy a painting from the artist. And Leo said he had been enjoying gelato at a cafe nearby. Can you help Mia figure this one out? Well, look at Harry's backpack. There are some art supplies sticking out of it. He must have created a distraction to steal it. Yikes! Barbara invited her colleague Sabrina for lunch at her place. Sabrina was surprised she thought Barbara didn't like her. But Barbara went all in for their lunch. She even cooked delicious tuna. She split the fish in half, and each of the ladies ate their portion. A few hours after lunch, Sabrina ended up in the hospital with severe food poisoning. After a thorough investigation, the police popped over at Barbara's house and arrested her. But how was this possible? Take a look at the knife Barbara used to prepare the meal. It had a bit of poison on one side. Certainly the side that she gave Barbara to eat. Oh my. You meet a friend for coffee, and she says she will only spill the tea on her latest secret if you can guess her riddle. She says, 5 costs $25, 25 costs $50. If you buy 255, you pay $75. What is it that you're buying, and how much does one item cost? You're buying door numbers, and each number costs $25. It took a decade for Professor Evans' archaeological mission to find a priceless artifact. The professor stored it safely in a vault. The team celebrated the win with a bonfire and went to sleep. The next morning, the artifact was gone. Professor Evans decided to investigate the robbery herself. Jack said he spent the last 2 hours cataloging the pottery they had found earlier. Olivia claimed she spent the last few hours in the rest area getting some sleep. Mark mentioned he'd been repairing the digger all morning. Professor Evans immediately figured out who took the artifact. Can you figure it out too? It was Mark. He claimed he spent the entire morning fixing the digger. But take a look at his hands. They should be dirty from the repairs. A car crashed into a restaurant window and drove straight inside. The owner was horrified and called the cops to investigate. There were two main suspects, Julia and Bernard. Each of them claims it was the other person who is the culprit. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who's lying? It's Julia. If you pay attention to the tire tracks, you'll see that they're the same pattern as Julia's tires. She's the one who did it. Take a look at this picture. Can you guess who is more reckless? Let's see. On the first pic, we see a little kid on the beach playing near the water. His super muscular dad is in the background talking to a couple of women. In the second pic, the little kid is playing catch with a not-so-friendly dog. But hey, his dad in the background is paying close attention. It's safe to say the dad on the first pic is more reckless. You are in Greece, exploring some of the country's ancient ruins. You get lost from your group and find the entrance to a hidden cave. You come across a mysterious chamber with 4 massive doors, each with a unique symbol. Beside it, there is an ancient scroll. When you open it, you find a message that tells you to trust that your mind knows the fleeting nature of time. The first door carries the symbol of a shield. The second door has a crown. The third door features a pair of wings, and the fourth door has an hourglass on it. Which door will lead you to the treasure? The fourth door, the one with the hourglass. The clue was in the last phrase, the fleeting nature of time. It's the hourglass. You walk into a diner and there are 2 very suspicious clients indoors. And one of them is actually a criminal. Who is it? Let's have a look. The first guy looks suspicious, especially since he's holding a defensive device. The second girl looks more innocent. She's just sitting holding a knife and cutting her salad with it. But hey, she's the guilty one. That huge knife is too big for cutting a salad, and it's got a red stain on it. Sarah was invited for a brunch with her new colleagues from work. She recently started working at a tech company. She arrived at the restaurant but didn't see any of her colleagues. Instead, she saw a weird-looking robot. How could she tell that it was really a robot? I know it looks like a person, but hey, look at her wrists. She has USB entrances on both of them. It must have been one of the pranks her colleagues decided to play on her. Maeve quit her job and decided to travel the world. Her first destination was Paris. She didn't know anything or anyone over there, so she arrived and looked for the first hostel she could find. But, oh no, she really shouldn't go inside this place. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out why? This hostel is haunted. There's the shadow of a ghost on the top window. I definitely wouldn't go in. One late summer evening, a thief broke into a renowned artist's studio and stole a rare painting. He didn't manage to get too far though, because a security patrol passed by while he was escaping. The thief stashed the painting under a thick bush and hid behind a nearby wall. The artist was quick to notice they had been stolen and called Detective Summer for help. The detective soon gathered 2 suspects. Take a look at the picture. Which guy did it? If you crawl through a bush with bare arms, they will most likely get scratched. Take a look at that second guy's arms. They're covered in scratches. He must be the culprit. Once, an expedition set up camp in the middle of a desert. They decided to spend a few days in that place. But when they woke up, their truck had disappeared. Luckily, they had enough food to last a week, but no power and little water. 3 days later, one of the members of the expedition disappeared. The leader of the team questioned the remaining people. Logan said he'd been walking around the camp trying to find water. Joanna said she'd been playing games on her smartphone. Samantha claimed she'd been sleeping all day long to save energy. And Nick said he'd been preparing a report in his tent. Can you figure out who's lying? Joanna isn't telling the truth. Within 3 days, her phone would have already run out of battery. And the expedition doesn't have any power, remember?
Oh.
James was walking near the river in the evening when a group of people dressed in black and wearing masks grabbed him. The leader told James that he had 3 options. They could throw him into the sea with hungry piranhas. He could choose to get dumped into the ocean swarming with sharks, or he could opt for a river with hippos. What option should James pick to survive? Piranhas only live in fresh water. The guy should pick the sea with piranhas.
Yeah!
Ah, look at the groom. It seems he might not live long enough to become a husband.
Oh, no.
One of these ladies has bitten him. Which one was it? It was Lady C. Look at her ears. She doesn't seem to be human.
Oh.
Look at these 2 pictures and try to figure out who is the robot here. Despite their unusual tattoos, the girls are humans. The robot is actually the cat in the picture on the right. Have you noticed that it's charging through a USB port on its side?
Oh.
Students knew they would have an exam on Monday, but their professor refused to tell them the exact time. Every time they asked, they got a weird reply. If 11 plus 2 equals 1, 10 plus 6 equals 4. If you manage to figure out the answer, you won't miss the exam. Do you know when the students should meet with their professor? At 4 p.m. 11 o'clock plus 2 hours is 1 p.m. Then 10 o'clock and 6 hours is 4 p.m.
Whoa.
Look at these seemingly wealthy women. In reality, one of them is just pretending to be rich. Which one is it? It's the lady on the left. Her bag is fake. The label claims it's Goosey when it's supposed to be Gucci.
Oh my god.
Mark is locked in a room. There are 4 doors there. The guy has entered through one of them and he can't use it again. The first door leads to the room with high voltage wires hanging above the wet floor. Behind the second door, there's a water-filled room swarming with sharks. And the third door hides a room where acid flesh-melting rain is falling from the ceiling. Which door is the least dangerous and can give Mark a chance to escape? Mark should opt for the first door. It'll be safe if Mark doesn't let his body come into contact with the wires and the wet floor at the same time. Now, try to crack this tricky riddle. It's nothing but holes tied to other holes. At the same time, this thing is as strong as steel but not as stiff as a pole. So what's your idea? What is it? It's a chain. Two people were born at the exact same time but have different birth dates. How is it even possible? These people were born in different time zones in different places in the world. Now you have to think outside the box to crack this one. 1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 consists of 4 letters. But the word 4 has 4 letters in it. And whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4. And the game will end there. Mira inherited an old house from her granddad. When she was exploring the cellar, she came across a massive wooden door. She opened it and saw a small room with 3 bags and a note. One of the bags has $1 million and the others are empty. You can only open one bag, so think carefully. Mira also noticed there was a message on each bag. The first bag claimed, "The cash is not here." The message on the second bag was, "The cash is not here." And the third bag said, "The cash is in the second bag." If only one message is true, which bag has the money? The money can't be in the second or third bags. If it was so, then 2 messages would be true. It means the money is in the first bag. William took part in a game show and ended up as one of the 2 contestants to make it to the finals. He came up to the table with 3 cups on it, but only one of these drinks was safe to try. The other 2 were poisoned, and even though a mistake wouldn't cost William his life, the consequences would be unpleasant. The drinks were tea with sugar, cappuccino, and hot chocolate. Which one should William choose? If it was indeed sugar in the tea, it would have already melted completely. But it didn't happen. Cappuccino looks suspiciously green. It's probably unsafe to drink. William opted for the hot chocolate and won the challenge. Look at these people walking along the sea attentively. One of them isn't human. Who is it? It's the young guy in the middle. He has no shadow. Creepy. When you look for something, you always find it in the last place where you search. Why is that? It's always the last place where you look, because after this, you stop your search. One of these ladies is a sporty man's wife. How long will it take you to guess which one it is? It's the girl who doesn't have a helmet, because her helmet is waiting for her on her husband's bike. All of these people seem to be terribly sick. Oh, I see. It's the maid. She's poisoned them. But what if I tell you that one of these people is actually faking poisoning, trying to save their life? Can you figure out who it is?
Oh my God!
It's the woman on the left wearing a red dress. She hasn't even touched her drink. Look at these ladies very attentively. One of them has stolen a watermelon. Can you understand which one it is? It's the woman on the right. The watermelon is actually peeking through her clothes. You're walking through a forest when you see a big lake. In the middle of the lake, you notice 3 cages floating on the surface. Inside, there are 3 people. Adam's cage is blocked by a huge chunk of ice. Luke's cage is locked with a massive padlock. And on top of Helen's cage, there's a container with boiling water. You can help only one of them. Who should you pick? You should choose to help Luke. The ice blocking Adam's cage will melt sooner or later, the boiling water will evaporate, and Helen will be able to escape, but Luke won't get out of the cage on his own. Two identical vans were crossing the bridge when it collapsed. The cars fell into the water and started to sink. Luckily, the drivers were unharmed, but they had to figure out how to get to the surface really fast because the vans started to fill with water. One of the drivers began to push the closest door, and the other tried to open the side door. Who has a higher chance of survival? The first driver won't be able to open the door because of the water pressure, but the side door in the second car is a sliding door. With some effort, the second driver will be able to open it and escape.
So, our guy James here had passed all the first stages of the entrance exam for the Superhero Training Academy. For the final stage, the committee was going to test if he was able to determine who to save first in urgent situations. So they showed him a few images and wanted him to decide who was really in danger. Can you help him out? Here are the first two. In the second image, the train is not moving and the lights are not on. That means the man can cross without any danger. As for the woman taking a bath and trying to dry her hair, well, it's not wise to use electrical stuff in the bathtub, so James should save her first. Now take a look at this footage of two people falling from a cliff. Can you help James detect who is in real danger here? The guy holding the umbrella might appear to be falling faster than the guy holding the plastic bag. However, he's going to fall right into the water, whereas there is a sharp rock right below the plastic bag guy. So, in a situation like this, James should save him first. The last image was going to determine whether James would be accepted or not. Who should be saved first? The lady absorbed in her phone in the second image is safe, because even though the traffic looks busy, the lights show a clear walk signal and cars are stopped. But the man in the first image has left a metal spoon in the microwave that he's about to turn on. That's a big no-no. James finally got accepted into Superhero Training Academy. But there, he was not going to use his real name. He needed to pick a superhero name for himself. Can you guess what his name is? These emojis might help. His superhero name is Thunderbolt Titan. Ooh. It was time to graduate. At the ceremony, the headmaster of the academy wanted to reward Thunderbolt Titan for finishing first in his class. He presented him with a mysterious chest containing a puzzle. Inside awaited a new suit, a cloak, and a high-tech gadget, but only if Thunderbolt Titan could crack the code. Can you help him solve the puzzle and claim his rewards? Look at the number sequence. What comes next? The correct answer is 7238. You just have to move the last number to the front. One day when Thunderbolt Titan was at home, somebody slid a note under his door. But it was encrypted with a strange number sequence. And below the numbers, there was a hint. Think about your device. Can you help decode the mysterious message? To decode this number sequence, we use a mobile phone keypad, as the hint suggests, where each number pair represents a letter. The first digit indicates the keypad number, and the second digit selects the letter's position on that key. For instance, 42 translates to H, because 4 corresponds to the GHI button, and pressing on it 2 times will give you H. Following this method, the fully decoded message is "Help now." A villain from the multiverse had brought all kinds of creatures to planet Earth, and the Protectors League needed Thunderbolt Titan's help to find and capture them before they unleashed chaos. The first monster they were searching for was a zombie, and the Protectors League had 3 suspects. Take a look at them and help Thunderbolt Titan successfully complete his first mission. The first person looks all dirty, but she was probably working in the garden. The second lady's grocery bag is leaking juice, not blood. So the third person must be the zombie, because the living don't wear hospital tags on their ankles. The second creature the Protectors League was searching for was an extraterrestrial being. Take a look at their 2 suspects. Who is the one hiding from the League? Look at Gary M's hospital patient chart. It says his fever is 24.5 degrees Celsius. A human can't have such a low body temperature. He must be the creature. Lastly, the League suspected that a robot was pretending to be a human at a college campus. They spotted 3 students who were acting suspiciously. Can you help Thunderbolt Titan figure out who the robot is? You might think it's obvious that the third student is a robot, but he only has a super realistic-looking robot tattoo on his arm. The first student has a blinking red light inside his shirt's pocket, but that's just a camera. On the other hand, the second student has a USB port on one of her fingers. She must be the robot. To the Protectors League's surprise, there was a 4th monster who had escaped their attention. And at the headquarters, they got an emergency alarm that it was creating mayhem at the amusement park. Thunderbolt Titan immediately rushed there. Upon arrival, he found that the creature's actions had led to a malfunction on the roller coaster ride, causing 3 passengers to be stranded dangerously. Which one should Thunderbolt Titan save first? The second guy will fall first, because he's only holding on with one hand, which is actually pretty difficult to do for an extended period of time. Therefore, Thunderbolt Titan should first save him. Thunderbolt Titan had successfully completed his first 2 missions. However, the villain was not happy that he ruined his evil plans. So he captured him and locked him in a room with no exits. There was only a note that said, "Answer this riddle and you might escape." What can fill a room but takes up no space? The answer is light. Even though Thunderbolt Titan answered the riddle correctly, nothing happened. The villain had tricked him. He had to do something, so he used his superpowers to open 3 portals for himself. However, he didn't have great control over his magical portal power yet. So, all the portals led to tricky places. The first one opened to a jungle full of all kinds of wild animals. The second one opened into the middle of a desert planet, and the third one opened to the edge of a steep, rocky hill. Which one should he choose? Remember the roller coaster mission? Thunderbolt Titan can fly, so he can choose the third portal and fly to safety from the steep hill. One night, Thunderbolt Titan was patrolling the city when he received a distress call. A woman had been attacked by a purse snatcher, and during the struggle, she fell and hit her head. She was now in the hospital room without her bag and her memory. The police officer informed Thunderbolt Titan that there were 3 men outside her door, all claiming to be her husband. Can you help Thunderbolt Titan figure out who is telling the truth? The purse snatcher might have taken her bag, but he didn't take her necklace. Look, she has an L letter pendant. And the first guy here has a neck tattoo that says Liz. He must be her husband. Thunderbolt Titan got an emergency alarm call from the Antarctica Animals Research Center. One of their beloved penguins had been stolen, and they needed his help to find the thief. After using his superhero senses, he narrowed the suspects to 3. Take a look at them. Can you figure out who stole the penguin? The second lady looks like she's hiding something under her skirt, but she's just pregnant. The third guy's backpack looks bulky, but see the flight tag attached to it? That's just his carry-on. But the first guy is hiding raw fish inside his tote bag. That must be to feed the penguin, so he's the thief. During a championship race, one of the cars was suspected of being sabotaged. Thunderbolt Titan was called to the scene to help identify which one with his scanning power. Can you figure it out before him? Take a look at the rear wheel of car 2. It's slightly wobbling, even though the car is stationary. Uh-oh. Hey, let's see how smart you are. Ezra is in love with his new classmate named Amber. He asks her out. She agrees to go on a date with him under one condition. He has to figure out which one of these 7 pencil cases is hers. Can you help him out? Take a look at Amber's outfit. It's pretty obvious that she likes cats. So we can make a short list of cases with cat decorations. Also, Amber likes purple. Therefore, only this pencil case is a perfect match. Ezra and Amber are walking down the street and enjoying each other's company. But there's a criminal among these people. Can you spot who? It's this black hoodie guy inside the police car. Ezra wants to take Amber to his favorite spot in the park, but unfortunately, the main road is closed for repairs. They have to walk through this maze. Can you help them find the correct route? Here's the only way leading to the final destination. Ezra takes a couple of pictures of Amber. Can you find 5 differences between them? Feel free to stop the video if you need more time. Are you ready to see the answers? Here they are. Later that day, Ezra returns home. He wants to watch videos on his tablet. But unfortunately, His little brother pulled a prank and changed his password. Can you help Ezra figure out the new 4-digit code? Ezra's brother left this painting on the wall. It's a hint. All Ezra has to do is count the number of angles on each shape. So the answer is 3406. Ezra is watching his favorite travel blogger, Diego. This guy has a couple of million followers. This time, Diego goes into the uninhabited desert. He wants to find a very rare type of lizard. He reaches his final destination, posts several photos, and goes to sleep. After this post, thousands of people, including Ezra, unsubscribe from Diego. Why? Take a look at the third photo. See this sign? There's a hotel nearby. So Diego lied. He's not in the uninhabited desert. Amber wakes up in the middle of the night because she hears someone crying and moaning. She turns on the nightlight. There's a creepy ghost standing in front of her bed. But soon Amber realizes that the ghost isn't real. How did she know? Look at the floor. This ghost has a shadow, so it can't be real. The next morning, Amber enters the class and sees a bunch of beautiful flowers at her desk. She finds a love note on the bouquet. The flowers are from a secret admirer. Amber wants to know who sent them, so she questions 3 suspects. Ezra says that he's allergic to lilies. Harry says he's in love with another lady. It makes no sense for him to send any gifts to Amber. And Bob says he was the first to arrive at the class today. The flowers were already on Amber's desk. Who's the secret admirer? Take a look at Harry's desk. There's a notebook with the exact same purple paper as the love note. Gotcha. After classes, Ezra and Amber go to the local coffee shop. They take a seat and look around. They see a guy and a lady competing in arm wrestling. Who has more chances to win? Take a look at the lady's neck. It has a USB port. She's a robot. Therefore, she's gonna win. Ezra returns home and finds out that his father, Aaron, is missing. Aaron is a genius scientist and businessman. He's been receiving many threats recently. So Ezra calls the police right away. The officer questions Aaron's 3 major rivals. Alex says he left the business many years ago. He lives a humble life in the village. Chris says his business is much more successful than Aaron's. Why would he kidnap him? And Mike says he hasn't seen Aaron for many years, and they don't have any joint ventures. One of these guys is involved in Aaron's disappearance. Can you guess who? Take a look at the fridge. Aaron left a hint. If we use the letters encoded in this message, we'll get the name Mike. Meanwhile, Aaron wakes up in a creepy dungeon. His kidnappers ask him to create a potion that can shrink people tenfold. Aaron doesn't want to help them. Luckily, he has 2 pills in his pocket. The first one makes you invisible, and the second one makes you 10 times bigger. Aaron doesn't know which pill is which. Can you come up with an escape plan? Aaron is sitting here all alone. He has no one to test the pills on. So it's better to create the shrinking pills for the kidnappers. Then eat one of his own pills. If he grows 10 times, he can just use the new pills to return to his actual size. But if he turns invisible, he can escape with the shrinking pills. Well, Aaron escapes from the kidnappers and runs to the nearest subway. Can you spot a criminal in this location? Hello? Aaron gets on a busy train and goes to the police station. One of these passengers is a wizard. Can you spot who? It's this lady. Her feet don't touch the floor. She's flying. Aaron is walking towards the police station, but suddenly he falls into a pit. He ends up getting trapped in a dungeon. Soon, Aaron finds 3 doors. Behind the first door, there's a mirror labyrinth. It drives every man who dares to spend more than 5 minutes there crazy. There's a hungry wolf behind the second door. He loves feasting on humans. And behind the third door, there's a huge tank with sharks. If Aaron steps in, he'll fall into the tank. What should he do to survive? Aaron should open the third door, then open the second door and let the wolf out. And finally, quickly hide behind the first door and close his eyes. The wolf would start looking for Aaron behind the second door and fall into the tank with sharks. Then Aaron will be free to escape through the second door. Finally, Aaron is home. Ezra prepares him a welcome chocolate cake. He puts it on the table and leaves the kitchen for a moment. Then he returns and finds out that the cake is ruined. Ezra questions the 2 people who are in the house. His brother says that he's been playing video games in the living room. He didn't enter the kitchen. And Aaron says he's been taking a shower. Who ruined the cake? Neither brother nor father. The window in the kitchen is open, and there's a bird covered in chocolate on the tree. It was the bird. Aaron builds a robot that can do all the housework and calls it Meg. One day, Aaron comes home from work and finds out that his robot is missing. He's looking for it everywhere, and finally finds a dungeon. He goes there hoping to find his robot. But instead, he finds 5 robots looking exactly the same as his. He only has 1 try to pick the right robot. Can you help Aaron? Some robots have badges, some do not. But only this one has the name Meg. The next day, Aaron enters his office and finds one of his best employees, Stan, lying on the floor in one of the rooms. Someone had hit him on the head. The police question the workers and find 3 suspects. Maya, the office assistant, says she had a couple of days off and spent them sunbathing on the beach. Rob, the manager, tells the police that his friend had called him to ask for help. That's why he left the office before Stan came to work. Lily, Stan's girlfriend, says they had quarreled earlier that day, but after that, she didn't see him. The police officers understand right away who's lying. What about you? Maya said she spent several days on the beach, but her skin is super pale. Uh-oh, busted.
Inspector Lewis found the footage of a fancy dinner where a famous actress was almost poisoned. He analyzed the video and came to a quick conclusion of who was the culprit. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who tried to poison the celebrity? The picture clearly shows that the second lady was the culprit. You see, the lady decided to wear gloves so she wouldn't get poison on her hands and poison herself. Besides, if you were to poison someone, you would have to make the food look presentable. And if you take a look at the first lady's soup, it looks pretty terrible. Alex needed to get across a park in the middle of the night. He walked fast, until out of nowhere a hooded man came up to him and knocked him out. The next day, Alex went to the closest police station to file a report. When he got there, the police were interrogating 3 suspects, Ben, Michael, and Bernie. The detective gave each of them a marker and asked them to write down their names. As soon as they finished, he arrested the right person. How did the officer know who to arrest? The test wasn't all that random after all. Alex was hit from the right side, so the police were trying to figure out who was left-handed. And among these 3 guys, the only left-handed one is Bernie. On a moonless night, Mary decides to watch a horror movie before going to bed. She passes out on her couch, and the next thing she knows, she wakes up in a haunted castle. She hears screeching sounds and screams all over the place. She walks carefully to the kitchen, where she finds 3 suspicious meals ready to be eaten. Take a look at the plates. Can you help Mary figure out which of these plates is poisoned? So, the French fries look relatively okay. The cake has a spider climbing on top of it. But hey, it's protein, right? But the meat, oh, the meat has a strange liquid coming out of it. That's the one that's probably poisoned. The airport police are having a lot of trouble these days. Many convicts escape prison and are trying to leave the country as fast as they can. Take a look at this image. You gotta figure out ASAP who the fugitive is. It's the lady on the right. Although the woman in the wanted poster is blonde, she must have dyed her hair brown to try to get through security. But her lips and freckles are exactly the same as in the picture. Something weird happened to Johnny's wedding day. He was busy tackling some last-minute problems when he slipped on a banana peel. How comical. He hit his head pretty strongly, but when he woke up, he didn't know where he was. He lost his long and short-term memory, and uh-oh, there were 4 different brides in front of him, but he didn't know who his real bride was. Take a look at the image, and first of all, try to rule out which of these brides is actually life-threatening to Johnny. Did you see the hidden poison jar on that bride? The bride on the left is probably pretty dangerous. He should rule her out first. Jane and Brendan really didn't like each other. They were sharing a flat because they were short on money. What Brendan didn't know is that Jane had some evil plans. She planned on poisoning one of his meals, since she was the one that always prepared the food. One day, she cooked the same piece of meat for both of them. She cut it in half, ate her share, and gave him the other part. After he ate it, he started to feel really bad and was taken to the hospital. The question is, how did Jane manage to survive while Brendan got sick? Jane put poison on one side of the knife, which was the piece she gave Brendan. Take a look at this image. Who do you think is being more careless here? It's the girl on the right. She's almost falling out of the boat. She should move to the middle and help balance the weight. And what about in this image? Who do you think is being irresponsible here? Let's see. It's the person on the right. The snake is too close to her face. It could hurt her, while the crocodile is simply interested in the meal the man is feeding him. An old lady was shopping at the mall when she saw something strange. She looked at a woman all dressed in orange at the cashier and shouted that she was seeing a prisoner that must have just escaped from prison. The woman in orange felt really confused, called the police, and got the old lady kicked out of the mall. What exactly happened here? The woman was dressed in orange overalls. It was just a fashion trend, but the old lady mistook it for prison clothing. In a parallel reality where humans, witches, and all types of beings coexist, Jenny and Lawrence were playing hide-and-seek. They were inside a huge old mansion. Jenny spent hours looking for her friend until she stepped inside the study. There were footprints up until the middle of the room, and then they disappeared. The only window of the room was open. Take a look at the picture. Can you figure out what happened here? Lawrence was a shapeshifter. This explains why the footprints didn't reach the window. Plus, look at the bird food on the floor. He probably shapeshifted into a bird and escaped. Katie got lost in the desert. She walked for hours when suddenly she came across a huge oasis. But to reach the main waterfall where she could drink some water, she had to cross a bridge. There were 3 bridges leading to the same place. The first bridge was far from the ground, and its rope looked like it could rip at any second. The second bridge had some hungry-looking alligators crawling on it. The last bridge stood above a lake full of poisonous water plants. Which bridge should she choose? The last one. The bridge stands above a poisonous lake, but she won't touch the water when crossing it. A group of friends rented a fancy villa for a vacation, right on the seaside. When they arrived, the hostess offered them cake and drinks. They chatted and ate the delicious cake, when suddenly 2 of them started to feel really bad. They were immediately taken to the hospital, and the doctor said they found poison in their bodies. Take a look at the image. How did the other 2 friends survive after eating the cake? That's easy. The poison wasn't in the cake. The poison was on the drinks the hostess served them. If you look closely, the friends that felt sick drank what the hostess offered them, and the others didn't. Oh my! Mark, Bray, and Livia are doing terribly financially. So they walked into a local supermarket looking for the cheapest thing to buy. One of them was planning on stealing something. But hey, can you figure out who just stole something? It was Livia, the little girl. She's hiding something in her shirt pocket. Can you see?
Okay, sharpen your brain, and here we go. Look at these 2 girls who got in trouble in the savannah. Who is in bigger danger? The girl on the right is definitely in bigger trouble. There's a whole zeal of zebras running toward her. As for the girl on the left, she's in less of a trouble. Even though a huge elephant is speeding towards her, she can hide behind this large stone. Detective Liam was invited to investigate a strange case. James, an extravagant yet very selfish man, got robbed the other day. The case seemed hopeless. Yet there was a small clue, a cryptic note left at the crime scene. S+1, D+1, C+1. The next day, 3 suspects were delivered to the police station. Their names were Ted, Sam, and Don. Once the detectives saw their names, it became obvious who the robber was. Can you guess who it was? It's Ted. All you need to do to decipher this code is to use the alphabet. At an elite party, waiters were serving drinks and snacks to all the guests. 2 aspiring actresses, Jill and Jane, had cocktails too. The next day, Jane showed up at an audition while Jill was in a hospital with doctors fighting for her life. Why? If you were attentive enough, you noticed that even though both girls had the same drinks, Jane didn't have any ice in hers, so the poison must have been in the ice. One day, Andrew and Alex decided to jump with a parachute for fun. However, for one of them, this might be their last day on Earth. Who's in danger? It's Alex. Look, he's got no parachute. It's just a backpack. However, if the guys notice it, Alex can still be saved. He needs to hold on to Andrew tightly to land safely. A group of friends, Louis, Jessica, and Albert, went hiking. Dusk was falling rapidly, and they decided to start a fire and have their late-night dinner. But once the flames lit the dark, it became obvious that one of them was a monster. Did you spot the intruder? It's surely Jessica. No human being can have those cat eyes. Three friends, Max, Mark, and Mick, went to a fancy new restaurant to try out some cool dishes a mysterious chef had cooked. Everyone loved the food, but oops, the next day, Max and Mark passed away in a hospital. The doctor said the two guys had severe food poisoning, and there was nothing they could do to save them. Now, look at the footage from the restaurant. Why did Mick survive? Apparently, poisoned tomatoes took the lives of the two friends. Look, Mick doesn't have this ingredient in his food. Now imagine waking up in a weird cage and seeing 3 doors in front of you. There's nothing horrendous waiting for you behind those doors, but the handles don't really inspire you. The thing is, the handle of the first door is covered with some nasty, probably toxic or radioactive ooze. The second handle is literally on fire. The third one has some super high voltage running through it. Which one should you choose? Hey, look, there are rubber gloves in the corner and you're wearing rubber boots. This might not help against ooze and fire, but it can definitely save you from high voltage. Pick the third door. Let's put your math skills to the test. Don't worry, it's easy peasy. When all birds landed one on each tree, one bird was left without a tree to sit on. But when 2 birds landed on one tree, there was one tree left vacant. How many trees were there? There were 4 birds and 3 trees. Now, my dear detective, we're going to test not your sharp eyes, but your logic. So, the poor have it, the rich need it, and if you eat it, you're going to surely pass away. What's that? It's nothing. The poor have nothing, the rich need nothing, and if you eat nothing, there's no chance you're going to survive for long. Jane and John Doe were an ordinary young couple. One day, they decided to go out of town and spend some time in nature, so they jumped into a car. While they were driving, they suddenly saw 4 people hitchhiking at a gas station, but most of them looked pretty suspicious. There was a man in tattered clothes, a woman wearing a cape, a man with a sullen face, and a teenage girl. Who should they give a ride to? Look, the woman in the cape doesn't cast a shadow. She must be a vampire. The man with the sullen face has a vampire bite on his neck, so he's now a vampire too. The teenage girl has suspicious claws, so she must be a werewolf. Thus, the man in tattered clothes is the only one who doesn't seem to be dangerous. 3 friends fell asleep under a tree in the countryside. While they were resting, a guy passing by painted mustaches on their faces. Once the men woke up, they started to laugh, But then, all of a sudden, they stopped. Why? At first, they saw the mustaches on their friends' faces and found it funny. But then, they realized their friends were laughing too. It meant that they had mustaches on their faces as well. On a rainy evening, Mary came home and found that someone had eaten her chocolate bar. Well, she asked her siblings who had done that. Jane said she had been working out in her room and she didn't even eat sweets. Ingrid said that she would never eat somebody else's chocolate. Jessica said that she had been outside watering plants in the garden. She had just come home herself. Who lied? I'd say it was Jessica. It was raining outside, so she didn't really need to water the plants. One day, Detective Brightbrain was called to the airport, where an angry passenger demanded immediate compensation for stolen luggage. The angry passenger said that he had bought a plane ticket to the city of Chicago. He checked his 15-pound bag, but when he got it back, it was light as a feather. He claimed that there had been valuable things in the bag: a laptop, a ring, and a watch. He opened it right at the counter, and it was empty. While the man was waving his arms and shouting at the counter, a bag fell out of his pocket. The detective picked it up and immediately realized that the passenger was a liar. How did he guess? Well, let's just say the bag wasn't exactly filled with gold coins or anything. It was a bag of dry ice. The scandalous passenger had no valuables. He had just put several blocks of dry ice in the suitcase and deliberately left the zipper slightly open. During the long flight, the contents simply evaporated, leaving no traces. The swindler only needed to pretend to be indignant and demand compensation. You find yourself trapped in a medieval castle, far away from civilization. You can't jump out the window because it's too high above the ground. The only tree growing near the window doesn't look sturdy enough for you to use it to climb down. However, there are 3 doors, and one of them can lead you to freedom. But behind the first door, a fierce fire is raging. The second door holds back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there's a pitch-dark maze, and you can only imagine what surprises are waiting for you there. Which door should you choose? The third. You'll just need to break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and go through the maze. It won't be dark anymore. 2 houses are on fire. One of them belongs to Jack, who is poor. Another one is a luxurious mansion that belongs to James. Which fire will the police extinguish first? Well, the police don't extinguish the fire. The firefighters do. Somebody call them, please. Psst, you. Yeah, you. I really need your detective help with these riddles. Maria came to a beauty salon. She had 2 appointments, a manicure and a haircut. Suddenly, she realized that one of the professionals working there was dangerous. Who was it? The hairdresser with huge stained scissors and brushes in the pocket of her apron? Or the nail tech with a nail file and suspicious red stains on her uniform? Look at the manicurist more attentively. In her bag, you'll notice a knife, a rope, and a tape. She's definitely dangerous.
Oh no.
Look at these people waiting for their flight at the airport. Can you figure out which of them is a dog owner? It's the man on the left, sitting on a bench and reading a book. Have you been attentive enough to notice he's got a bone in his bag? It must be a gift for his pooch. Now look at these guys. One of them is a zombie. Can you figure out which one it is? When you think about it, you'll understand that zombies are into brains, not computers. Plus, the guy on the right has a weirdly shaped palm, and he's looking at the other guy's head too intently. The gamer should watch out.
Boy.
Now, this might look like a lovely family portrait, but not all people depicted here are actually human. Can you figure out which family member is a ghost? Pay attention to the shadows. The man is the only person in this photo to have one. Sadly, the rest of his family are just ghosts. You've got to choose one room in which you'll have to spend 1 hour. One of the rooms is swarming with thousands of rats. Another is almost completely filled with water. And the last room is an infinite pool with jellyfish. Which room should you pick? The second room is the safest option. If you manage to stay close to the surface, you'll be able to breathe since there's a bit of space between the ceiling and the water.
Oh, yes.
Look at these hybrid animals. You're about to fight one of them. Think twice before picking your opponent. The wrong choice may cost you your life. Opt for the hybrid of a shark and a jaguar. Such a bizarre creature won't be able to breathe on dry land, and you'll just need to wait a bit before the jury announces your victory. So you've just moved to a new town. It's so small that there are just 2 barber shops there. The barber working in the first one has an impeccable haircut. The hair of the barber in the second establishment looks quite messy, and still, you choose to go to the second professional. Why? Well, if there are just 2 barbers in the town, it means the second barber gave the first one his perfect haircut. Look at these ladies attentively. All of them seem to be pregnant. But what if I tell you that one of them has just stolen a watermelon? Can you figure out who it is? The first lady has a visible belly button. The second one doesn't hold her belly at the moment, so it must be real. As for the third girl, she's holding her belly tightly, and we can see something green through her clothes. She must be the watermelon thief. Now let's check your logistical thinking and math skills. You have 3 empty cups and 10 sugar cubes. You need to distribute these sugar cubes between the cups in such a way that each cup contains an odd number of cubes. All you need to do is put 3 cubes in the first cup and 3 cubes in the second cup. After that, place the remaining 4 cubes and the second cup in cup number 3. This way, the first cup will have 3 sugar cubes, which is an odd number. The second cup will have 3 sugar cubes too. As for cup number 3, it will contain 7 sugar cubes, 4 of its own and 3 from the second cup. You have a box with multicolored marbles. All but 2 of them are red, all but 2 are blue, and all but 2 are green. How many marbles are there in the box? There are just 3 marbles in the box, blue, green, and red. A young lady has the same number of brothers and sisters, but each of her brothers has twice fewer brothers and sisters. How many sisters and brothers are there in the family? There are 4 girls and 3 boys in the family. Once, a man decided to go on a fishing trip with his friends. He asked his wife to pack some things for him: a fishing rod, a fishing box, some clothes that would be enough for a week, and his favorite pajamas. The wife did so. After the man returned, he entertained his wife with funny stories about what had happened during the trip. Suddenly, he asked why his wife hadn't packed his pajamas. The wife immediately understood that her husband was lying to her. He hadn't been on a fishing trip. How did she understand that? The woman put the pajamas in the fishing box. And if her husband didn't find it, it means he didn't open the fishing box. What a weird fishing trip that was. Jack is participating in a challenge. He's made it to the last stage, which takes place in a desert. If he succeeds now, he'll win $1 million. Jack needs to get a key out of one of 4 pots. On top of the first pot, there's a bowl filled with a strong acid. The second pot is covered with a bowl full of venomous spiders. In the bowl placed on the third pot, Jack sees a raging fire. A viper is curled up in the bowl covering the fourth pot. Now Jack isn't allowed to drop the bowls to the ground or turn them over. Which pot should he choose? The guy should choose the third bowl. He can put out the fire with sand and get the key. Camilla was afraid of dogs. One day, while jogging in the park, she noticed a large dog sitting near the bench. It looked unfriendly. The leash attached to the dog's collar was 3 feet long. Camilla decided it would be safe to pass by if there were at least 7 feet of space between her and the animal. But even on a leash, the dog still managed to bite her. How come? Well, the leash wasn't tied to anything. Kevin, a security guard in an amusement park, found a boy standing near a roller coaster. The kid said his name was Nick. He didn't know where his father was. Kevin took Nick to his office and made an announcement. Soon after that, 2 men showed up at the door. The first exclaimed that he and his son had been in a cafe. But after eating his burger, the man felt so unwell he had to spend almost 20 minutes in the bathroom. When he got out, his son wasn't around. The other man interrupted him, saying that he had ridden a roller coaster with his son. Then he left the boy to wait there and went to get some hot dogs. Which man was Nick's father? Nick is too young to ride that roller coaster. Look at that sign stating that only those older than 14 are allowed to have a ride. It means the second man is lying. The boy's dad is the unlucky guy with food poisoning. A bank manager was missing. The only suspicious thing the police found was a note left on his office desk. There were 4 numbers on it. His colleagues, John, James, and Otto, claimed they had nothing to do with this disappearance. But the police thought otherwise. Who did they suspect? When you write the word 1, it starts with the letter O. 2 starts with T, and so does 3. Then we have 1 again. That's the letter O. Together, we have the name Otto. And finally, a funny riddle might help you relax. Why should you never trust gravity? Because gravity will always let you down. Have a good one!
Kai gets a new job as a lab assistant. He arrives at work early in the morning. Bad news! All capsules with their robots have opened, and now the robots are crushing the lab. Kai runs to the control panel, but unfortunately, the previous employee left a hot mess. All the wires are tangled. Which button should Kai press? Only the blue button can be helpful because it will stop all the robots. Kai's wife, Stella, runs an art studio. She has 3 talented painters in her class:
Hello.
Tom, Sam, and Mia. Today, Stella learns good news. One of her students' paintings won an international competition.
Yes!
But instead of announcing the winner's name right away, Stella draws this sketch. Can you guess the winner? Stella encoded a hint in her sketch. If we take the first letters of these 3 words, we'll get the name Sam. Kai and Stella reunite to go to sleep. A loud sound wakes them up in the middle of the night. They hide under their blankets. After a while, they dare to look out and see a werewolf. Kai soon realizes that the monster isn't real. How did he know? Look out the window. It's not a full moon today.
Oh.
Kai arrives at the lab and finds out that his boss, Richard, had been attacked. Richard was working on a very important chemical project with 3 assistants: Agnes, Allison, and Amelia. Police officers examine the crime scene and discover a spoon in the hand of the unconscious scientist. Why would Richard hold a silver spoon? Soon, Kai cracks this hint, and the officers arrest the criminal. How did they know? Richard was a chemistry scientist, so he gave a hint. Ag is the chemical symbol for silver. The scientist was pointing at Agnes. Kai enters an abandoned part of the lab. This place is infested with rats. Can you figure out where the rat is hiding? Over here. What about these teapots? Where's the rat? Hello. Kai returns to his office and notices that someone robbed him. What 3 things did the thief steal? Here they are. Kai wants to know who robbed his office. He questions 3 suspects. Amelia says that she went to the library to grab a book. Allison says that she went to wash her hands before lunch. And Oliver says he went to the gym for his daily workout. Who's lying? Allison couldn't wash her hands. Take a look at the announcement. There's no water in the lab today. After work, Kai takes a walk in the park. This elderly lady lost her husband.
Oh my lord.
Can you find him among these guys? It's the 3rd man. They have identical stickers from Paris on their bags, so they probably traveled together. Kai enters a new candy store. It has just opened in his neighborhood. Unfortunately, someone robbed this place last night. The police are having a hard time because security cameras haven't been installed yet. They find 3 main suspects living in this area. All 3 have recently been released from prison. Alex just got free. He hasn't left the house yet, and his security camera footage proves it. Mike says that he's got a new job. It's very exhausting, and sometimes he wishes he'd rather be in prison. And Kevin has recently broken his leg, so he doesn't leave the house because he doesn't have any money for any crutches. Who robbed the candy store? Alex! He's all covered in soot. Take a look at his fireplace. He climbed out through it. On the weekend, Kai comes to a big family dinner at his relative's house. He takes a lot of pictures. One of these photos shows a mother and daughter, and the other photo shows a stepmother and stepdaughter. Can you guess who is who? The first woman has the same mole under her eye as the daughter. They must be blood relatives. So the second lady is the stepmother. Kai and Stella are chilling on the beach. Kai goes swimming alone. After a while, he returns and finds Stella unconscious on a sun lounger. Kai calls the police and doctors. They figure out that Stella was poisoned. The officer investigates the crime scene and Stella's stuff. Can you help him find anything suspicious? Take a look at her glass. There are pills in her cocktail. The detective immediately takes fingerprints from Stella's glass. Can you help find the main suspect? Why did the photographer touch her glass? That's suspicious. Kai and Stella return home and realize their cat Fluffy is missing. They question 3 neighbors. Vivian says that she didn't see any cats and she's allergic to all the animals. That's why she stays away from them. Helen says that she has no reason to steal their cat because she has her own. Donna says that she was painting her fence and saw Fluffy for a moment, but the cat ran away very quickly. Can you figure out who's lying? Donna mentioned that she painted her fence, but does it look freshly painted? Busted! Kai goes shopping and buys 2 items. A hat and a scarf cost $110. The hat is $100 more expensive than the scarf. How much does the scarf cost? $5. It means that the hat costs $105, which is exactly $100 more than the scarf. Meanwhile, Stella arrives at her art gallery. Oh no! Someone sprayed the best paintings with yellow paint! Stella closed the gallery at 9 p.m. last night, and everything was fine. The police find 3 suspects and visit their houses. The guard who was on duty last night didn't notice anything suspicious. He locked the gallery at 10 and went home. The janitor completed cleaning at 9:30. The paintings were fine. The barista who works on the opposite side of the street claims that he closed the coffee shop at 8:30 p.m. last night. Who ruined the paintings? Take a closer look at the guard's trash bin. He threw away a pair of gloves stained with yellow paint. Busted! Kai and Stella go hiking and get lost. Soon they come across 4 roads. The first one leads to a supermassive black hole. It swallows everything that gets close. The second road ends in a sea full of sharks. The third road leads to a mountain that's impossible to climb over. And the fourth road ends in a bottomless abyss. Which road should the guy take? They should choose the third road. No one says they should climb the mountain. They can simply go around it. Duh.
Yes.
Stella and Kai keep on hiking. Stella asks him a riddle. Can you start a fire using 2 pieces of wood? Yes, make sure one of them is a matchstick. The next day, Stella and Kai are driving through the city in 2 separate cars. They both started their journey at the same time. Kai's green car is moving at a speed of 30 miles per hour. Meanwhile, Stella's yellow car is moving at the speed of 50 miles per hour. At one point, the green car comes across the yellow car. How is it possible? The cars are traveling in the opposite direction.
Daisy returned home and noticed that someone had broken into her apartment and stolen her diamond necklace. The police arrive and question 3 neighbors. Greg was painting his ceiling. He was wearing headphones, so he couldn't hear anything. Bianca was hiking with her bestie all day long. They've just returned home. Glenda only went out once to walk her dog. She thinks she heard some weird noises from Daisy's apartment. Who's lying? Greg, take a look at his ceiling. Does it look freshly painted? Busted. Daisy works as a manager at the local circus. Her task is to prepare their new location for future performances. She arrives at the spot, takes a look at the stage, and freaks out. Why? Take a closer look at the sign. It says citrus instead of circus. Daisy goes to her favorite cafe to have lunch. There, she sees these 3 people. One of them was poisoned. Can you guess who? The third guy didn't even touch his cappuccino. He must be just sleeping. The second lady is awake. She has some cappuccino mustache, nothing criminal. But take a look at the first guy. He's wearing glasses, so we can't say for sure whether he's awake or not. Meanwhile, his phone is ringing in his pocket, but he shows no reaction at all. That's suspicious. So he's the poisoned one. After lunch, Daisy enters one of the dressing rooms and finds their star, Clown Roger, unconscious on the floor. Daisy calls the police. They arrive very quickly and question 3 witnesses. Bob says he was just walking by. He has never seen this clown before. Mia says that she's a huge fan of Clown Roger, and she's very sorry. And Nick says that he's just a handyman. The circus hired him to fix problems with electricity. Who's lying? Bob. He said he had never seen this actor, but he's wearing a t-shirt which has a print of Clown Roger's face. So Bob must be his crazy fan. Daisy visits another star of the circus, Dave. He's a talented acrobat. Dave has just received a mysterious basket of candies with a letter. The sender is unknown. The letter says, "Dear Dave, thank you very much for your talent. I really like you. Let's go out sometime. Best wishes." There's no name on the letter. Dave has no clue who it could be from. Luckily, there's a short little riddle. 3rd of August, 4th of February, 2nd of May, 3rd of December, and 6th of October. Can you help him crack the code? The 3rd of August means the third letter in the word August, which is G. The fourth letter of February is R. The second letter of May is A, and so on. So the name of Dave's secret admirer is Grace. The circus company throws a corporate party. They ask all employees to wear some Halloween costumes. So Daisy heads to the shopping mall to get herself one. But they only have 3 options to choose from: a witch outfit, a mermaid costume, and a vampire costume. Can you help her make the best choice? Take a closer look at the witchy costume. This tag says it's made out of paper, so it's a bad idea to wear it at a party. As for the mermaid costume, the tail is torn at the back. So Daisy should pick the vampire outfit. Daisy arrives at the party. Everyone's dancing in their Halloween costumes, but one of these 4 people is a real vampire. Can you guess who? Let's see. The guy on the left is drinking something red, but he has a shadow, so he can't be a real vampire. The second lady looks pretty creepy, but if you look closely at the mirror on the wall, you'll see her reflection, so we can exclude her. We can also see the reflection of the 4th guy in the mirror. Only one lady is left, so she must be the real vampire. Daisy's town has an old haunted museum. Daisy and her friends decide to spend Halloween night inside the museum to have some spooky time. As the clock strikes midnight, the portraits hanging on the walls of the museum come to life. A portrait of a lady starts screaming for some help. She tells Daisy that the former employees dared to make a fake version of her portrait, and she wants Daisy to destroy it. But Daisy takes a look at the fake portrait and spots 3 differences from the original. She assures the lady that it can't hold a candle to the original. Can you spot them too? The lipstick color, the pendant, and the ribbon on her hair are all different. Then Daisy goes to the cafeteria to grab some snacks. There are 3 options only. Which one should she choose? Take a look at the date that's written on the potato chips bag. According to it, the chips expired in 1924, so that's a pass. The small note below the ice cream says it's earwax flavored. Nobody wants to taste that. So Daisy should pick the popcorn. Daisy keeps on walking and comes across a building. There are 2 ladies in 2 different apartment windows. Both seem to be busy with household duties, but one of them is dangerous. Can you guess who? The second lady is just getting rid of pests. There's nobody in the room and she's wearing a mask. But take a look at the lady on the left. There's an open bleach bottle next to the food she's cooking. Ew, no thank you. Daisy keeps on walking and faces something curious. It's a 5-letter word that is under you. If you remove its first letter, then it's over you. If you remove its first and second letters, it's all around you. What is it? It's just a chair. The next morning, Daisy arrives at the circus. She finds out that Dave was kidnapped by a mad scientist. He locked Dave in his lab in one room and put a zombie in another room. Daisy arrives at the lab to rescue Dave. She sees these 2 doors with 2 signs. Only one of them tells the truth, and another one lies. The sign on the first door says, Dave is here and the zombie is in the next room. And the sign on the second door says, the zombie is in one room and Dave is in the other. So, where's Dave? Dave is in the second room. If door 1 tells the truth, then door 2 is true too. This is contrary to the terms of the game. Daisy rescues Dave. They escape through a long corridor together. Soon the corridor splits into 3 tunnels. They are signed west, east, and south. The pair also see some weird inscriptions on the wall. Which corridor should they choose? Daisy and Dave should tilt their heads and look at the inscription upside down. This way, it reads south. The guys keep on walking and find a door. But it's locked. They need to enter a 4-digit password. Luckily, there's a hint nearby. It's a note that has 4 images. Can you help Daisy and Dave crack the code? Each digit corresponds to the number of colors of the objects. This clover only has 1 color. The Santa hat has 2, the banana has 1, and finally the rainbow has 7. So the code is 1217. Daisy and Dave open the door and escape from the lab. They find themselves in the middle of an island. The guys hit the road and drive to the pier, where they face these 3 bridges leading to the mainland. Sharp rocks and glass cover the first bridge. The second one is swarming with venomous snakes. Hot orange lava is boiling on the third road. Which route should they choose? They're driving an open-top car, so it's dangerous to choose the snakes. The first bridge will destroy their tires, so they should pick the third route. The ocean will soon cool the lava down and turn it into stone.
Hey, dear detective! It's time you apply your skills to solve the toughest brain teasers we've got. Look at these hands. All of them seem to belong to wealthy people. But it's just an illusion. Your first case is to figure out which person is indeed rich. Have you noticed the brand names on the accessories on the left and the right hands are misspelled? These luxury items must be fake. As for the hand in the middle, it's decorated with a real gold bracelet. It most likely belongs to a rich person. Now, look at these travelers and their bags very attentively. Can you spot a smuggler? Why would a blind person need a flashlight in his luggage? That's suspicious. He must be the criminal we're looking for. Which of these people is poor? Pay attention to the guy with an iPhone. The apple on the back is whole, which means the phone is fake. How about these people? Who is richer? The man on the left looks like a rich businessman, but he might be pretending. At the same time, the guy with green hair looks very casual. But he's holding a brand new laptop and expensive headphones. He's likely to be richer. Can you figure out which of these athletes is poor? It must be the blonde guy who's wearing a fake Adidas shirt. Or should I say, a Bebas. You wake up in a room with 3 doors. Suddenly, someone starts knocking on each of them. You come up to each door in turn and sneak a peek through the peephole. Behind each door there's a police officer. Do you know which door is safe to open? You can open the third door without any worries. The first man doesn't show his badge and has a knife tucked under his belt. The second man has weird stars on his uniform. As for the third police officer, he is the only one with identical stars on his hat and badge without any hidden weapon. He's your safest option. These people look homeless, but one of them isn't poor. Who is it? Look at the guy with the cart. He's got car keys. Now this task is tough. Which of these ladies doesn't have a lot of money? Think twice before answering. The lady in pink buys only those clothes that are on sale. She might be poor. Doris was having a beach vacation with her friend Teresa. One morning, the young women were sunbathing near the water. Teresa went to a cafe to get some lemonade while Doris went swimming. When she came back, she saw that her smartphone, which she had left on her beach towel, was gone. She asked a man sunbathing nearby if he had seen her smartphone. He answered that he'd been sleeping the whole time. At this moment, Teresa came back with the lemonade. She looked around and immediately understood where Doris's phone was. Who took it? It was the neighbor. Before the accident, the spade was lying on his left. Now it's on the right. There's also a suspicious pile of sand near the spade now. The man must have hidden the phone in the sand, hoping to dig it out later. Look at these guys attentively. One of them is not living alone. Who is it? The man on the right. He's got 2 toothbrushes. Joe had a friend, Randy, who never answered questions directly. Once, Joe sent Randy a message inviting him to join their common friends in a cafe. Randy's answer was kinda weird. Sorry, no money, job and job. Luckily, Joe knew his friend well enough to understand what he meant. But can you figure it out? Randy meant he had no money because he was in between jobs. Terry invited his friend Alice, who was studying to become a police officer, to a party. It was organized by his friend Sean. Terry was worried that there could be a thief at this party. Throughout the event, Alice was watching the guests attentively. At the end of the party, she told Terry who the thief was. Have you figured it out? It's the host, Sean. At the beginning of the party, one of the guests had a watch on his wrist, and this woman had a beautiful necklace. But at the end of the party, the watch was already on Sean's wrist, and the necklace was in the flower pot. The police were informed that one of the most wanted criminals, Carl Walker, was going to arrive in the country. According to this information, the man was going to come by plane. Unfortunately, the police knew very little about him. He was short, wearing glasses, and traveling under a false name. Detective Adams went to the airport. He detained 4 people who fit the description. They were Mr. Lewis, Mr. Relkoff, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Wilson. Can you figure out who the criminal is? It's Mr. Relkoff. His last name is actually the criminal's last name, Walker, but with its letters mixed. Austin, a rich businessman, brought very important documents to his office. But he had a meeting and needed to leave for several hours. Austin asked his secretary to be super attentive. His competitors could try to break into his office to look at the documents. When he came back, his secretary told him everything had been quiet. But when the man looked around, he realized someone had been inside his office. The secretary eventually admitted having fallen asleep while Austin was away. How did the businessman understand someone had visited his office? The globe on his desk is now turned in the opposite direction. You're trapped in a room with no doors or windows. All of a sudden, the room starts filling with water. You check everywhere but can't find any way to turn it off. You know that help is on the way, but it's still at least 5 minutes until their arrival. You only have 2 minutes. After that, the entire room will be flooded. Obviously, you can't hold your breath for 3 minutes. You've got 3 objects, but only one of them can save your life. What should you choose? A straw, a rope, or an empty bucket? You should opt for the bucket. Put it on your head. This will create an air pocket, and you'll be able to breathe for a couple of minutes until help arrives. Carter had a fast and successfully developing company until his main investor went bankrupt. Upset, Carter went to visit his best friend Justin, who was a coffee shop owner. Justin told him that a rich businessman visited his cafe almost every day. He was there that day too. The man was very secretive and didn't have any social media accounts. Justin told Carter to go and introduce himself and pointed towards the back of the coffee shop. The guy went there and saw 3 men, but he didn't ask his friend which one was the wealthy entrepreneur. He looked at the men attentively. Can you figure out which one he needs? It isn't the guy in the middle. He has a dollar store bag. The one on the right could be rich, but he's recording an Instagram story. And the businessman isn't active on any social media. This means the man Carter needs is on the left. 3 friends agreed to hang out together on a Friday night. One of them, Brian, was tasked with bringing pizza. But the guy was running extremely late. His friends were starving. Strangely, Brian wasn't picking up their calls. But in an hour or so, he sent them a selfie. In the photo, he was standing next to his car. In the following message, he wrote he had run out of gas. He was at a gas station filling up his car. But his friends didn't believe Brian's excuses. Why? In the picture, it's clearly seen that the guy has an electric car. It doesn't need gas. Aubrey and her boyfriend Leo lost each other at a concert. He's in one of these toilet stalls. Can you help Aubrey find her partner? Leo is in the first stall. They have matching tattoos. Aubrey and Leo return to the concert. Suddenly, Aubrey notices that one of these musicians isn't real. Who? The guitarist is not real. His guitar has no strings.
Really?
After the concert, Aubrey goes backstage to say hello to the musicians. In the hallway, she meets 3 lady fans. One of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? The first and the second ladies don't have any shadows, therefore, they're vampires. So, only the third lady can be a werewolf.
Oh.
Aubrey enters the dressing room and finds the singer, Emma, unconscious on the floor. Aubrey calls the police and an ambulance. Officers question 3 suspects. The guitarist says, "I left the dressing room for 15 minutes to go to the toilet." The drummer says, "Emma asked me to bring her a burger with fries from the kitchen. When I returned, the police were already there." The piano player says, "I was taking selfies with my fans in the hallway." Who's lying? The drummer. His hands are empty, so he didn't bring any burgers.
Oh no.
After helping the police, Aubrey and Leo leave the concert hall to go home. 3 taxi drivers offer them a ride, but one of them is dangerous. Can you guess who? The second driver has a hyena in the back seat of his car. The next morning, Aubrey goes to the park for her daily workout. She spots 2 people chilling on 2 benches. One of them is a villain. Can you guess who? The lady is just having a picnic. But take a look at the guy. His magazine is upside down, so he's probably tracking someone. Busted!
Oh no.
Aubrey takes 2 pictures of the pond. Can you find 5 differences between them? Feel free to stop the video if you need more time. Are you ready to see the answers? Here they are.
Oh, yes.
Aubrey gets a message from her friend, Mary Jane. She fell from a bridge today,
Ah.
but she survived. How? Spider-Man saved her. She's Mary Jane, remember? Aubrey goes to visit Mary Jane at her condo, but the local security guard will only let Aubrey in if she cracks this riddle. I get sharper the more I'm used. What am I? Easy peasy. It's the brain. Mary Jane greets Aubrey and treats her to cupcakes and tea. There are 4 cupcakes in the box. One of them isn't safe. Can you guess which one? The first cupcake is a bit smashed, but that doesn't mean it's not edible. The second one looks fine. The 4th cupcake is a little burnt, but it can still be delicious. But the 3rd cupcake has glass shards on top. Definitely not safe.
Oh, God.
Aubrey returns home and turns on the TV. Breaking news, everyone! A dangerous criminal has escaped from prison, and now he's walking around Aubrey's neighborhood.
What?
Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Aubrey checks her camera and sees 2 people standing on her porch. Both say that they're delivery guys, but one of them is the famous runaway criminal.
Oh.
Can you guess who? The guy on the left. He hides an axe in one of his trouser legs.
Oh, my God.
Aubrey calls the police, but the criminal realizes her intentions and escapes through the backyard. The police follow him and end up in a parking lot. The criminal is hiding in one of these 5 cars. Can you find him? These 4 cars seem empty, and they don't have any signs of a break-in. Meanwhile, someone's moving in the back seat of the 5th car. Busted! Aubrey is heading home from the police station and sees this scene. One of them is lying. Can you guess who? The vampire hunter is lying. This guy isn't a real vampire. He got scared and his cheeks turned red. Also, he has a shadow. just like humans. Aubrey keeps walking and comes across 3 neighbors arguing about one bike. Whose bike is it? The bike belongs to the red hat guy. The rest are wearing helmets, but his helmet is on the bike.
Oh.
The next day, Aubrey goes to the supermarket. She grabs some food and goes to the cashier to pay. Oh no, her card holder is missing. Aubrey interrogates 3 people standing nearby. Ethan says he was talking on the phone and he didn't steal anything. Mia says that she didn't touch Aubrey's stuff. Her hands were full with her own purchases. And the cashier says that she didn't notice any card holders. Aubrey knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Take a look at Mia's purchases. She hid Aubrey's card holder inside the kale. Aubrey enters the local diner to have lunch, but this is not a regular boring restaurant. One of these 2 customers is a former mermaid. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at the second lady. She has scratches on her knees. That's because she's learned to walk just recently.
Oh.
Aubrey takes a seat and notices these 2 innocent-looking couples. One of the couples are visiting from another planet. Can you guess who? Take a look at the first table. The guy puts toothpicks in his pasta like salt or pepper. It's very unlikely that he's human. The next morning, Aubrey enters her office. Oh no, someone broke into her desk and stole her laptop. Yesterday, she locked it in her drawer. Aubrey calls the security guards and they question 4 suspects. The cleaning lady says, "I only entered Aubrey's room once to take out the trash early in the morning. I didn't touch her desk." The designer says, "Yesterday I left earlier than Aubrey, so I didn't see anything." The office manager says, "I was the first one to arrive today, but I spent all morning in my own room working on an urgent task." And the account manager says, "I was having a business meeting in the conference room all morning." Who's lying? The cleaning lady. Take a look at Aubrey's bin. She didn't take out the trash, so her story is fake. Aubrey and Leo go for a walk on the beach. But something is wrong here. Can you guess what? No waves. Aubrey and Leo keep on walking and get lost in a huge maze.
Oh my god.
Can you help them escape?
Oh no.
Here's the only way out. Suddenly, the guys see a curious animal. It has feet but no legs. Which animal is it? It's a snail. Snail foot is a muscle that allows it to move. Aubrey and Leo decide to explore the local haunted house. They enter a creepy hallway and the door slams shut. The guys wander around and find another door with a combination lock. They have to figure out the 5-digit code to open it. Can you help the guys figure out the code? Take a look at these fancy runes on the wall. It's a hint. These are just mirrored digits. The code is 1, 3, 9, 4, 7.
Yes!
The guys open the door. They faint because the next room is filled with sleeping gas. After a while, They wake up in a basement and see a drawing of the floor. Suddenly, a creepy voice says, "Two letters are missing here. Guess which ones, and I'll set you free. If you don't, you'll stay here forever." Can you help the guys out? The missing letters are N and N. The guys open the next door and see a bunch of butterflies flying in the air.
Boy.
Can you count the exact number of green butterflies? Seven.
Yeah.
Now let's see if you can count the number of pink butterflies. The correct answer is 9.
Oh my god.
Finally, the guys get out of the haunted house. They take 2 pictures for their social media. Can you find 5 differences between them? Ready to see the differences? Here they are. The haunted house has a garden maze. Can you help the guys get out? They should definitely choose the first route.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you